And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, have a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you are listening somewhere else and you would like to join the live portion, you can find me Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University, at Coffee Talk Live at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As we get ready to jump off here, naturally, I do read through as many of the comments as is reasonable. For the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see, I'll turn off that awful music. That, of course, is the free, non-proprietary, restream Halloween-ish music that sounds like really, really badly AI-generated harpsichord. For those of you who know what a harpsichord is, I will... Oh, no cats in the room. No felines in the room today, unfortunately. I will go ahead and... excuse me. And say hello to some of the people that have been able to chime in so far. I see Helter has joined us today. Happy Halloween. Indeed, it is October 31st. And I have your Halloween tip for the evening here in a moment. Donna Beaver is here, says, remember, thumbs up, like, and share. Yes, please do. Dragon is here. Rodney is here, as well as JJ. And Brian is here. Again, happy Halloween. Legend says, learned that for spayed dogs, they do a green line tattoo. It's a shame they cannot do the same for cats. No, they chop their damn ear off. It'll get me going on that already because that frustrates the hell out of me and it makes the kittens harder to move. Somebody had sent the message because I did put up a GoFundMe to help with some of that expense. And someone had asked, about adoption resources, and I have the last place that I was originally working with Halo House, and then the last place I worked with, of course, was Paws Atlanta. But they charge $75 a piece just to take them, and then they turn around and then they charge the next person from 100 to 150 to adopt the cat, depending upon how old they are. So like 12 weeks to 1 year is 150. 1 year to 5 or 7 is 125, and so on. And cats, if you go and you look at their list, or any of these shelters, cats that are older, that are old, like your cat's 10 or whatever, and cats with their ears chopped, they sit there the longest. So that makes it harder for me to, if I wanted to adopt any of these kittens, it makes it harder now. I see Monkey is here, as well as Dupsy Daisy. And Monkey says, did you see Trump driving around the garbage truck 24 hours after Biden's comment? I did see that. That was very clever marketing. I did see that. Raccoon has joined us, as well as Jane Spitfire and Cyberjack Sr. Jane says, poor kitties. Yes, because they cut all, and I asked them not to. Sometimes they'll listen to you, sometimes they won't. This time they didn't listen to me. So they chopped everybody's ear. And I got everybody back now. I got the rest of the females as well. But sometimes it's a little bit, they call it tipping, and sometimes like half their freaking ear is gone. And can you at least be consistent with it? Come on now. Like if you look at Miss Kitty, it's like 1/4 of an inch. You can barely tell. And then you look at Hobo, half his ear's missing and it's jagged. It looks like someone tore it off with their teeth. It's awful. But the GoFundMe is up, and I'll advance thank yous to those of you who saw that video and have helped out already. So thanks go out to New York Patriot, Emma, Rod, who that's you, isn't it, Rodney, in here today? John, Ann, and CR. And I see Sven has joined us here today. And I'll throw the link on there for that, and then we'll go ahead. That's the GoFundMe link for the video for that cat, for the cats. As we get ready to actually get into real news and not just talking about the cats all day, which I could do that. I could sit here for an hour and go on and on about the cats. Dubsy says, is that to show they've been spayed or neutered? Correct. That's what they do. They so if it's out and about, because it's TNR or TNVR, trap, neuter, vaccinate, release. So if it's a stray for real and it's put out into the wild, if another group sees it, they know they've already had shots and already been spayed or neutered. Just at a glance, okay, the part of the ear is missing. Somebody already dealt with this animal. We'll leave it alone now. Oh, and Raccoon says, I'm Ann, and you're welcome. Anything for the kitties. Okay, Ann, thank you. And Undercover Rusky has joined us, as well as Play and Fun. It says, is it possible it's kind of surgery after a cat fight? They can lose a piece of their ear in a fight. That's been known to happen. But, you know, again, this is also a common practice from veterinarians. So I've got 11 cats now that I've released back that all have one ear chopped off, courtesy of the service. As we get ready to go here. And damage control. Damage control is what we're looking at here. And this is an Associated Press article. And this is Biden, of course. You know that the other day, and it was just mentioned that Trump was driving around inside of a garbage truck because of this. And listen to the spin now as they try to correct it. Biden goes off script again, causing a distraction for Harris in campaign's home stretch. The home stretch, because she's gonna win, right, Associated Press? President Joe Biden was very publicly trying to rein himself in. Don't get going, Joe. Slow up, he advised himself during a speech where he was criticizing Republican Trump. That was Tuesday afternoon, but by evening, Biden didn't take his own advice, and now his off-the-cuff remark on a Zoom campaign call has created a new headache for Democratic nominee Kamala Harris less than a week before Election Day. She's not a nominee. She was installed. It's not the first time Biden's created problems by going off script, but the latest incident served as a particular distraction just as Harris was trying to deliver a high-profile closing argument for her campaign, emphasizing the need to unify the country after Trump's divisiveness. I don't hear Trump dividing anything, to be honest. Okay. Jane wants to know if I have more males or females. More males. I have more males than females. Raccoon says, like Azrael from the Smurfs, when I see a cat with a tipped ear, I think of him. Oh, that's right, because he was missing a piece of his ear, correct. And Rodney says, Biden saying the quiet parts out loud again. Exactly. Now, what's being implied here, and this is what I'm seeing from the news and from the White House press corps, Biden goes off script. Now, remember, I showed the video yesterday, and I'm going to pull it up again. I'm going to pull up the video again because it's very important to watch Biden while he says this. This is the video clip. Let me get it set up because I know it's going to try to pop an ad on me and I need to catch it. Yeah, hold on a second. I gotta circumvent the ad. It's important to watch him saying it. And here we go. It's ready now, and I'm going to run it for you when I'll get it cast to restream, because that's the spin that he went off script, right? And Fluke Man has joined us, and Monkey says, and yet Kamala calls Trump old and tired. No kidding, no kidding. Dragon says apparently the media has decided it will report this nonsense because it has nothing more serious to do. No. Well, it reports what it's told to. There's no journalism. They regurgitate stories. Now, what's important here for those of you who are watching is to watch his eyes while he speaks. Here we go.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His team is unconscionable, un-American.
Okay. Now, bad enough, you can barely understand what he's saying. Mumble, mumble, mumble. Now, I pointed out his eyes, and I pointed this out yesterday with this video, which is why I'm refocusing on this. If you're watching his eyes, you can see them shifting left to right, left to right, left to right. He's reading that. He's not off script if he's reading a script. He's not off script if he's reading a teleprompter. I mean, are we looking at a Ron Burgundy moment here where somebody is like, oh, put anything on there, he'll read it. He doesn't pay attention to it at all. That's what's going on. And now because it backfired, they're pretending he went off script, which is still no excuse. It's still no excuse. And Rodney says Trump is only divisive in the minds of the MSM and big tech. Yeah, no kidding. Puck says cats for Trump. That's right. Save those cats. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Jane says, he has central nervous problems. And I'll cast that one more time for those of you who didn't catch it. Look, if you can see it clearly, I can see it because it's big on my screen. But you can find this clip easily enough. You can find this clip easy enough. Watch his eyes.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And also you can hear his pausing. And those pauses are very likely where he has to go to the next line. And he's trying not to lose his pace, or his place rather, so he stops for a second. But half of that is illegible. You can't even make out what he's saying. Raccoon says he has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, quoting Halloween here, but look at him in that video. I know. It's not flattering. It's not flattering imagery. And Fluke Man says, I'm surprised Democrats haven't CGI'd Biden. Well, you see how much color they've put into him here. This is clearly being cleaned up because he's not that brightly colored at all. And you can't even see the lines in his forehead. I forget what they call it. That's that program a lot of people use, especially people on like TikTok. All those women who shake their butts on TikTok use that filter. so that you can't see all the wrinkles. But yeah, he's pale. He's really pale, and he's got a lot of lines. That's not really what he looks like. Unless they got a red lamp on him, which doesn't seem likely because the background is still white. I just wanted to emphasize on that's interesting. That's the spin that they're trying to put on this. That, he went off script. Obviously, I don't think he did. I do not believe that he did at all. And Semper Fi has joined us. Glad you could make it today, Semper Fi. Just going on about the spin here that Biden was actually off script with the garbage remark when he clearly was reading. He clearly was reading. And just in case you were not sure, and we got to get this story out before October is over, I guess, about who or about what which party stands for. Snopes article, here's another fact check that I'm not able to debunk. Snopes trying to be legitimate. No American flags visible at rally for Harris at Temple University in October. That's some few days ago. All right. This is a new article, but it's a few days ago. And in this picture, you can see Obama, and that's where Obama was rallying for Harris, even though both him and Michelle, Big Mike, claim to be nonpartisan. They're trying to get out the vote. Nonpartisan. Does this look nonpartisan to you? Just asking. Claim American flags were not visible at a rally supporting U.S. President Kamala Harris's campaign held on the campus of Temple University in Philadelphia, October 28th, 2024, just a couple days ago. Rating, this is true. And there were no flags at the university that day, at least not American ones. That is true. They can't deny it. You're running for president. This is a campaigning rally for you. You're running for president of, I assume, the United States, correct? No American flags? None. Does that make sense to anybody? Puck says when the left was warning us about deep fakes, they were warning us of their latest strategy. Yeah, hide in plain sight. And Monkey says eyes look soulless, or one of those with aniridia. Aniridia is where it appears the eye has no iris. And Jane says, Brian says, yeah, liberals, I know. Puck says Biden needs Bluetooth earrings too. Then it'll interfere with the other voices. That won't work. Jane says, why no flags? That is strange. It's very strange because this is the kind of group they're pandering to. This is the kind of group that they're pandering to. So this rally where you see, again, that is Barack Obama, former President Obama. He says, text win to 30330. I wonder what will happen if you do that. I'm not going to try it because I get enough spam mail from these campaigns. I don't have the letter. My wife got more political mail. She got a digital report card. It's a big card too, and it's a report card, and it's got all her information on it already. It's all right on the front of it, telling her that she's not doing good with her voting. JJ says no American flags. I guess that's why they're counting non-American votes. No kidding. But these are the kind of people that they are pandering to. And you really think these people are going to vote? I can't read that, Puck. I get in enough trouble. I got in a lot of trouble this morning. I got another video pulled. Another video pulled for misinformation. She's a cruel mistress. That misinformation, cruel mistress. And that, of course, came with a warning. It frustrates the hell out of me. I'm telling you, it's a matter of time. I don't even know what the hell I said. Tuck says, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to both channels. Thank you, Tuck. Jane says they have like 40 texts on do not forget to vote and want to volunteer. And Tuck says that's a creepy report card. Yeah, they got her voter stats, and then they remind you that although no one knows who you vote for, which is a lie, by the way. Let me fix that one. Because it does say whether or not you voted Republican or Democrat or Independent or what. Whether you voted for the Santa Party or whatever the hell they got. Okay, I want to vote for this. You know, every year there is somebody who runs on the Christmas party as Santa Claus. But anyways, I wonder what happened if that person actually won one year. But it tells what party you voted for, correct? But that means you can easily discern who the person voted for, don't you think? It's not that secret after all. Not that secret after all. Rumor was true. While photos showed the audience bathed in red, white, and blue lighting, as well as some patriotic bunting and horizontal screens displaying white stars on a blue backdrop, we have yet to locate any visible American flags at this rally, according to the Associated Press. No flags. I see stars on that lighted banner. That is correct. I don't see anything else. These people are not bathed in red as far as I can tell. But yeah, the banner has stars. But isn't that indicative of the banner that's typically on the donkey that represents the Democratic Party anyway? Yes or no? Tuck says someone in a video comment section, they had a friend whose Halloween costume is misinformation. Yeah. Misinformation. And they probably dressed like Hillary Clinton. No, misinformation would probably be the White House press secretary. And Monkey says you can actually search someone's political voting if you know what county they live in or used to live in. JJ says, I'll vote for Santa. It might get me off my naughty list. Yeah, I know. Oh, you're on my naughty list. Let me see if I can actually, since I brought it up. Because there is a... I don't know where it is, but there is a Santa for president. I think this guy runs like every year, and he looks like Santa Claus. He looks like Santa Claus. I just wanted to see real quick if I could even find it, but I don't know where to look. I don't know where to look for it. Anyways, moving right along as we go on. This is important too. Is this going to be another video clip? Yes, it is. It is a Newsweek video clip. I believe I want to make sure there's no ad on it before I run it. It's very important, and it ties in with something we discussed the other day. Flukeman says college students say they support taking what people have and sharing them with other people who don't have anything, but when asked would share their properties and grades, they change their mind. Correct. Monkey says, is it the guy with a boot on his head? I'm not sure. But here, let me share this video clip. This is Harris, another faux pas. And it's right up there with her speech at the church the other day. This is Harris.
Let me say something. We are 6 days out of an election.
Yep.
We are 6 days away from election. And ours is about a fight for democracy and your right to be heard. That is what is on the line in this election. That is what is on the line in this election. Look, everybody has a right to be heard, but right now I am speaking.
Doesn't that and that falls right in line. Everyone has a right to be heard, but right now I'm speaking. Okay, Mama. Okay, Mama Kamala. And that falls right in with the heckler at that church. Remember, I showed the video Monday, correct? Because she was at the church that Friday. I believe, was it Friday or Saturday? I forget. But she was at the church and somebody shouted something out and the music drowned him out. And she said, everyone has a right to, oh, how did she put it? Everyone has the right to be heard. Everyone has the right to be heard. But they drown these people out with music and security removes them at the same time. So everyone has a right to be heard, but we're going to drown you with music and we're going to remove you from the building. Then she sits here and says, everyone's voice is important, but I'm talking right now. I'm talking. Peter says, which search engine do you use? Right now, I'm using Bing. Monkey says, Vermin Supreme, if I recall. JJ says, has anyone bothered to tell her that we're a constitutional republic and not a democracy? Hey, they've been shouting, Democrats have been shouting democracy going way back to before Kennedy was president. That's old school. And people just fall in line with it and believe it now. They don't even think about it. Brian says, right now I'm speaking. We have been listening to you fib and cackle for 4 years. Some people have been listening to it for 34 years. Or 34 years. Going all the way back to when she got her first job in San Francisco. Flukeman says that's Kamala's smart twin or triplet. You think she has body doubles? I don't know about that. But this is her, when she said, right now I am speaking, that's because she was being heckled in that audience. It's hard to catch it. It is another voice just before she gets snarky right there, which ties in with the title, Harris Shuts Down Protester.
On the line in this election. That is what is on the line in this election. Look, everybody has a right to be heard, but right now I am speaking.
And there's a lot of people that who they like seeing somebody with that kind of a snarky attitude. They think it denotes strength or confidence. That's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true at all. It doesn't represent strength or confidence. Now, I thought this was interesting. This is an email that was sent to me from a viewer. Okay, let me see if I can find the right one. All right, I think this is it. This is an email that somebody sent to me. This will go to show you how bad it's getting with all of this voter nonsense and this bullying for the election. Okay, this is a copy of the email that he sent. Election day is November 5th. This is a friendly reminder that next Tuesday, November 5th, is Election Day. If you have not already voted, we encourage you to send in or cast your ballot in person at your local polling place. In addition to the races for president, the House of Representatives, and in many states, the Senate, there are also numerous state and local officials on the ballot this year across the country. If you'd like more details or simply don't know where to cast a ballot, blah, 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 it gives you a website. Thank you for your time and being a part of our eBay Main Street community. Sincerely, the eBay Government Relations Team. Why do I need eBay or anybody? Why does anybody need eBay sending them emails telling them to go and vote? Seriously. Monkey says, in all seriousness, what does Kamala have that people would still vote for her? I'm guessing it's by race, mainly race or gender. And I've already discussed that because I've heard that from people. My wife has. She brought me a couple of stories on that. There are people that are going to swing a vote her way simply because of that. Simply because of that. They're under this mistaken impression that somehow if they give her a chance, she's going to do right. And Jericho says it's arrogant. Yeah, she's very arrogant. And Tuck says the people who were parents and grandparents were fans of trashy 80s and 2000s daytime shows. Yeah, talking over people, yelling, carrying on, threatening people, being snarky, sounding like you're talking to children. Puck says eBay Government Relations Team. What the hell? This government is out of control. No kidding. And it's probably just, I bet you eBay is getting some of that money. Because a lot of money was dumped into various programs as part of the Inflation Reduction Act that spent billions of dollars, and several billion of that Inflation Reduction Act was allocated towards programs to encourage people to vote. And I'm willing to bet that's eBay tapping in on some of that funding. JJ says, great, maybe eBay can send out emails and tell people when they should take a crap too. I know. Because Lord knows, nobody knows what to do. I don't know how to go to the bathroom. Someone help me. Just put us all in diapers. They advertise adult diapers with people who look like they're in their 20s now anyway. Something really wrong with that. There's something really wrong with that. I talked about that some time ago. It was like, why the hell is it that all these, because I was growing up, it always had pictures of elderly people on the packages. Now everybody's in their 20s. And they're like, the response that I got from some people was like, oh, well, that's because so younger people won't be so embarrassed about having to buy them. Why would they be? They can just pretend they're buying it for somebody else or get it delivered to their home. It's cheaper to get it off Amazon anyways. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, maybe there's an epidemic of younger people crapping their pants. I wouldn't be surprised. Like Cartman when he was playing video games. And since this was mentioned, I'll go ahead and throw it up there. Newsweek again. Florida ballots fall off of a truck due to human error. Human error. Human error. A bin and bag with hundreds of Florida early voting ballots fell out of a Miami-Dade County truck on Monday night, according to the county's election department. Why were they driving around at night? The incident occurred due to the, quote, human error when the driver did not lock the back of the truck as they drove off. It says ads, they drove off. That's a typo. Miami-Dade elections officials said in a statement Tuesday. The employee has since been fired. Residents found the bin and bag of ballots and brought it to the police. Officials confirmed that all items were accounted for. I don't know if that's true. The worker forgot to lock the back of the truck, and as they drove off, one sealed bin and one sealed bag fell out containing already voted ballots from the early voting. The Miami-Dade Elections Department wrote in a statement Tuesday, while unintentional, the Elections Department has a zero tolerance for error, and therefore the employee was terminated. Oh no. And that's what people have been talking about, that ballots are falling off the truck in Florida. It says the ballots were retrieved Monday night on a road near Florida's Turnpike in Cutter Bay, according to a video posted by Only in Dade on X, formerly known as Twitter. You know what the real problem is? He didn't get to the dump site before getting rid of them. JJ says, great South Park reference. Flukeman says, when you get lefties and emails informs people your neighbors will know whether you voted or not. It's a disgrace and threatening American citizens. No different to Nazism and communism. I'm mispronouncing some of that on purpose. Because, again, I got a big strike this morning. I don't know what the hell I can even say anymore. I'm running out of things. I've got a longer list of words I can't say than the ones I can. Helter says I wouldn't be surprised if the truck delivery person was paid to chuck the voter ballot bag out of the truck as an act of sabotage. Yeah, but he ain't supposed to do it where they can see it. And some of you are familiar with my story about voting machines because I've witnessed that happening. Monkey says, did you hear the Supreme Court ruled that Virginia can continue to purge the votes, or the voters' order? Court ruled 6-3. I think I saw that story. I didn't read it, but that does sound familiar, that they re-overturned it. It's been flipped again. That it was ruled in just yesterday. And Flukeman says another poor scapegoat. Yeah, that guy blamed. But if it was something shady, he was probably in on it, and it happened at the wrong place at the wrong time because you don't want it to fall out on the highway. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. But, you know, a lot of you are familiar. I've talked about it before in the mid to late 90s when I was working for Christie's Market before 7-Eleven bought the chain out. I don't think there are any Christie's left on the East Coast. That before closing time, there was a van dumping in our dumpster, which we're supposed to make a police report if people do that. And I couldn't get out of the store at the time to see what they were throwing away. I did a whole video on this some years ago. That it was a white van and it was guys in suits unmarked white van. And when I went out to see what was thrown into the dumpster, it was filled with voting machines. It was loaded. There could have been a dozen or more of them in there. And I called the police and I told them that I had a dumping incident. And of course, they'll take the report over the phone. And he asked what it was. And I told him they're voting machines. And he was like, really? He was like, well, I'll get somebody out there. And, I locked up the store and everything. It was after 11 o'clock. I had locked the store because we closed at 11. And they never came. Police never came. But BFI did come. And BFI is the dumpster company. They came and they emptied the dumpster in the middle of the night. And the police never called back, never came, never heard another thing about it. And I'm like, yeah, shit. I've never seen a garbage truck after 5 p.m. anywhere, let alone at like 12:30 in the morning or whatever. Unbelievable. Dragon says, I heard Colorado had a breach of passwords for the voting machines. And Puck says, I wonder how many trips the truck driver made to the dump. Lord knows. While we're on the subject of voting, but that was my earliest inkling that there's a lot of shady business that goes on around voting. Is that experience. Fox News article, and I'll add this to the list of celebrities I just wish would dry up and go away. Julia Roberts mocked for campaign ad telling women they can vote differently from their husbands. Well, I bet women didn't know that, did they? I thought they already covered that on All in the Family when Archie was trying to get his wife to vote for a specific candidate, and she wouldn't tell him who she voted for because she said the law says she doesn't have to. Julia Roberts' narration of a Harris Waltz campaign ad that explains to women they can vote differently from their husbands was widely criticized after it was released by the progressive evangelical group Vote Common Good on Monday. In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want and no one will ever know, says Roberts. The two women featured in the ad are shown casting their votes for Harris and Waltz. And when they reach their husband, one of them says, "Did you make the right choice?" To which his wife responds, "I sure did, honey." Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth, Robert concludes. Vote for Harris and Waltz. Oh my God. What happens in the booth stays in the booth. They stole that from Vegas. That's the old Vegas slogan. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Puck says there's a story about an Orlando postal worker arrested for dumping ballots in the woods. That's interesting. Tuck says middle of the night. I've seen it, but not often, and it's scheduled. There's no random 3 a.m. pickups. Trash pickup is a business. Random pickup isn't profitable. Usually they would come twice a week. I don't remember which days, but it was typically before 8 a.m. that they would come and empty the dumpsters. And it wasn't even the right day. That day or the day after was neither of the days they would typically come to empty the dumpster. But I don't remember which days specifically. Rodney says, did Roberts not realize that before now? Apparently not. Flukeman says, couldn't they keep hold of the vote papers until they dispose of them a bit more covertly? I have no idea. I guess they figured no one would notice. Peter says, remember, it's not over until January 20th. There's a lot of tactics they'll use between now and January 20th. No kidding. Tuck says, evangelical group tells women to become unevenly yoked. Hey, that's a good one, Tuck. I like that. I like that. Rodney says, less than a week, and we find out whether we get affordable groceries of WW3. That's right. Julia Roberts, everybody. Brian says, remember the 3 a.m. mail-in ballots received that were all for Biden. That's right, dumped into the box at 3 in the morning. And JJ says, I recall the Orlando story that Puck mentioned lots of voting shenanigans are going on. But that's even then I realized, wow, there's something really, really funky going on with all of that. Mysterious dump truck in the middle of the night on an unscheduled day. Police say they're coming and they don't bother to show up. Men in suits in a white van throwing voting machines in the garbage. And this was in the 90s. That's a lot to wrap your mind around. There goes Julia Roberts being a shill, toeing the line in a desperate attempt to remain relevant, because I doubt she could get hired for an actual job anymore. As she does the voiceover, suggesting that you can vote differently than your husbands. Okay. I mean, they act like the women's suffrage movement just ended like 3 weeks ago. Rodney says the current shenanigans absolutely dwarf 2020. Absolutely. Speaking of shenanigans, this ties in with Biden's apology a few days ago. You might recall that earlier in the week, I read a story where Biden is officially apologizing to indigenous people for America being bad. Officially apologizing. Well, it doesn't stop there. And this is Anchorage Daily News. U.S. Navy formally apologizes for obliterating Angoon in 1882. On the 142nd anniversary of the Angoon bombardment in southeast Alaska, the Navy formally apologized for an unprovoked attack. And here's a handful of protesters pretending they're still indigenous. I know, that's kind of mean, huh? I guarantee you they don't look like this on a regular Sunday. It says, on a cold and cloudy Friday afternoon, Tlingit clan leaders stood ready to welcome guests to Angoon. For millennia, the Tlingit have lived on Admiralty Island, or Zootsnui, the fortress of the bears, adorned in regalia. Clan leaders performed traditional Tlingit welcoming ceremonies. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Well, who made the... It says that, all right, I'm trying to get to who made this apology. The United States Navy was finally going to apologize for what it did on October 26, 1882. It says, according to the Tlingit, in an oral tradition, it says the attack was a surprise. Shells rained down on the village. Marines landed and set fire to their homes, and at least 6 children died from smoke inhalation. Storehouses filled with food for the winter were destroyed, and priceless clan mementos were stolen from ruined homes. All but one of the village precious dugout canoes, or yaka, were destroyed because Angoon was obliterated. At that time, Alaska was under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Navy. And the Navy has now officially apologized for this. I'm trying to read ahead. I'm not seeing anywhere that it says that this because all this is oral history. Down here it says naval records say Tlingit had two, I guess, naval employees. It says white employees as hostages and threatened to kill them, which justified a bombardment. So I guess there is an official record of the bombardment. But still, it says Shing George reads an account of the 1882 bombardment. Rear Admiral Mark Succato presents an official Navy apology on the village on October 26th. Okay, so they dragged this Rear Admiral Mark Succato out here. What's that going to fix or change or rectify How does that fix anything? And this is a picture of the village now. And Monkey said, did that apology already happen in 1973 when the U.S. gave them a $90,000 settlement cost? That's possible. That's possible. JJ says apology is 142 years late. No kidding. Puck says, I shared that story with a retired Navy guy I know. I asked if he apologized too. Flukeman says, what would happen to the person if they uploaded a video of people in suits dumping mass voting papers and documents in bins showing all the contents and trash truck removes them at 3 in the morning? Oh, it'll be a blurb in the news. Just like everything else I read. You know, okay, this is exposed and that's exposed and this is fact-checked and whatever. What's done about it? What changes? What's it going to fix? What's it going to fix? As long as the right people are in power or as long as the individual is powerful enough, they'll continue to get away with it. I mean, I read stories all the time about lawmakers who get caught up enough that they end up in court or going to jail. Like it looks like the mayor of New York is going to end up taking that route. He's hanging on by a thread, but what are you going to do? I mean, we're lying to ourselves that we think it's going to get fixed anytime soon. Huck says, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? That was the Japanese, right? Tuck says, oh, kidnapping. I'll keep my very unpopular opinions on that to myself. Monkey says, all over wanting 200 blankets. Puck says the Navy and other branches should apologize for forcing their personnel to take, the Fauci ouchie. Yeah, people were fired over that from the military. Monkey says, kidnap the naval personnel demanding 200 blankets. And the Navy wasn't having it. And this is the village now. There's not much there. There's not much there. And, I mean, if it's protected Indian land, you know they're not paying taxes. You know they're getting a check. Oh, here you go. Puck wants to hear something from Chief Elizabeth Warren. Isn't she a medicine woman? Medicine woman? Incredible. Absolutely incredible, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, an official apology. And the reason that they're doing that is the same reason that Biden officially apologized for Indian boarding schools that were instituted, a little more than 150 years ago? That was back around the time of the Civil War. That was back around the time of the Civil War. And the idea is that they're trying to target indigenous voters. And I think we read the article on that a few days back, that this is a ploy for indigenous voters because the Democrat Party is trying to hit the black vote, the Hispanic vote, and indigenous voters. And I'm like, those people don't vote, right? For the most part. I mean, I'm sure some of them do, but otherwise, that's not something that they really care about because, especially if they're living on the reservation, they're like in a sovereign country practically. They don't care what happens to the rest of us. So, we'll apologize to show you we're down with you, Indian brethren. Our bad for something that happened 150 years ago. Word. I feel you, my brother. It's so phony. It's so phony. Just, I feel my intellect being injured reading some of these stories. And like these people can't see through that. I hope they can. But hey, you never know. As I always say, most people they're not that bright. They are not that bright. And we're going to jump to a National Review article talking about the FBI. You wanted a miracle? I give you the FBI. Who said that? Who said that? FBI spent a year preparing platforms to censor the Biden story and withheld info on the laptop's authenticity. The FBI spent the better part of a year preparing social media platforms to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story and withheld information from the companies when they wanted to know whether or not the laptop was authentic, despite knowing the laptop was real long before the 2020 election. Even though the FBI authenticated the Hunter Biden laptop archive in late 2019, the Bureau met with tech platforms over 30 times, beginning in early 2020 to, quote, pre-bunk allegations that the Biden family traded off Joe Biden's name to make a fortune from foreign business deals, according to a bombshell House Judiciary Committee report that has been obtained by the National Review. The FBI, however, has declined to comment. I bet. In many of these meetings between federal agencies and big tech, the FBI raised the topic of potential hack and leak operations amid conversations about election security and potential foreign influence operations, the report reads. In response, some platforms even adopted new content moderation policies specifically designed to address hacked material. The FBI obtained the Hunter Biden laptop hard drive and verified the device by cross-referencing it to Biden's Apple iCloud identification, according to IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley, who testified last year. During Hunter Biden's gun trial, the prosecution presented the physical version of Biden's laptop and brought FBI Special Agent Erica Jensen to the stand to explain how it was verified. So they knew it was true. They knew it was true. And spent a year doing preemptive damage control on social media platforms by intimidating them into debunking anything that came down the pipe about it. Who exactly do they work for? All People says these apologies are done to impress white liberals, not American Indian tribes. Yeah, I get your point. Fluke Man says next apology for those have Chinese heritage for the Opium War, even though that was the Brits. Yeah, I know. Hey, that happened twice too. There were 2 Opium Wars, right? Puck says National Review, ? And Prime Mover got it. Die Hard. That's right. Hans Gruber. You wanted a miracle? I give you the FBI. I give you the FBI. Hans Gruber with his fake German accent. They were all fake German accents, and they weren't even speaking German in that movie. Nobody could speak German, so they were told to just fake it. And, you know, most people didn't know the difference. Went right over their heads. Puck says Catherine Heritage has a great article about this. 2 FBI whistleblowers, RIP, provided evidence. Wow. More whistleblowers that bit the dust, huh? JJ says the level of propaganda today would even make the Goebbels blush. I agree. This is frightening. This is frightening. I mean, they're basically operating in the capacity of like a private detective agency for the current administration. It wasn't even the current administration yet because the election wasn't over. So before the election even took place, they were operating as a private entity, like hiring the Pinkertons or something to cover things up, to get out ahead of it, contacting and having meetings with and intimidating social media platforms. Oh, Puck says RIP is pending for those two guys. Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification. I thought they already bit the dust. I'm like, oops. Oh, no. Sucks to be a whistleblower. I'd be scared to death. I wouldn't tell nobody anything. Loose lips sink ships, huh? Is that the idea? Sounds like a loose lips will sink your own boat. Drill holes in your own boat. They've been covering for him almost 5 years now. And hey, there's the question again. Is anything going to be done about that? Maybe a couple of people will get fired. Maybe a couple of scapegoats. What's going to be done about it? What's going to change? It's corrupt enough. The whole agency probably needs to be dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. And there's too many agencies like that. There's too many juggernauts in government. Any three-letter agency, name it, the EPA, FBI, IRS, public school system. They've all gotten too big and too political and too corrupt, and they need to be torn apart, restructured and rebuilt from the ground up as a new project, like they're brand new, with proper oversight. It can be done. Nobody wants to do it, though. Hell, they're probably scared. I can't say I blame them with all that's going on. I can't say I blame them. I wouldn't want to be involved either. I would not want to be involved either. But it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. It doesn't surprise me, and I hesitate to think, is anything actually going to be done about it? Who's going to do anything about it? Well, if Trump wins the election, he'll try. I think he'll try, especially now that he's personally motivated after what's been done to him, because the Justice Department has been weaponized against him. But this is nothing new. Remember, what was Watergate about? What was Watergate about? It's not about breaking into a hotel room. It exposed corruption all up and down the line, from the executive branch of the White House to the Justice Department to the FBI and so on, that spanned decades of bribes and blackmail and illegal clandestine operations and all sorts of things. What was done about it? They're worse now. They're worse now. And Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. Much appreciated. Oh, Halloween tip for the day. Halloween tip for the day. Take a big bucket or a big mixing bowl, something like that, right? Put a sign on it that says, help yourself, and leave it on your porch empty. And then everybody who comes by will think they're too late, everything's gone. And Thomas is here. Thanks for chiming in, Thomas. That's what you do. Have you ever seen video? You ever seen video footage of, like, from people's Ring doorbells and stuff when people leave a bowl full out on the porch? Excuse me. And what happens with that candy? The whole thing is taken by like one person, and it's usually the parent that does it. Monkey says if he wins, he needs to go all out in this term. And the media will cry and cry and cry. And I don't blame him, though, because he's had a taste. He's had a personal taste of it now, of something that happens to all of us when we deal with this, with so-called justice. He's probably never experienced that before. Now he knows, which is also why a lot of people identify with him now. Because if you've ever been to court, you probably felt like you got kicked in the teeth. I do. Puck says Congress is lazy. They abdicated their oversight duties to the agencies that are now running amok. Flukeman says they did that with the League of Nations to the United Nations, but still did illegal activities like human trafficking in Bosnia. Brian likes my tip. Anyways, JJ says, any tips for throwing TP over houses and trees? You can put a spool on a drone. The toilet paper is light enough. How about that? and you can direct it by hand. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and/or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University on YouTube. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Special thanks to Brian, who made a donation to the channel today, as well as New York Patriot, Emma, Rodney, he's here today, John, and CR, who also made donations to the GoFundMe. And I'll put that up there one more time for the shelter cats. So thank you, everyone else who was able to join us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will see you again